I
Okay,
think that is the theme to this show. Hey, everybody, we're
and
live.
you tell everybody. I tell anybody who will listen, but that's not very many people.
I mean, unless they're within the sound of your voice, and then they have no choice but to listen. You are a very commanding vocal presence. I think
Oh,
you would
well, thank
agree.
you.
So, did you get a nap?
No.
For those of you who don't know, Dana and I spoke earlier, and
Said I was tired then.
you thought you had to, because sometimes you do after school tutoring, and you thought you had a tutoring appointment today, but it turned out you didn't, and you were like, maybe I'll take a nap. But I suppose that as it turns out, it didn't happen.
No, I got a call from somebody at the union, and it's the situation that I'm assisting with. And we're trying to schedule a meeting with, me as the local rep and somebody else from the state union, and then the superintendent and the head of human resources, just sort of hopefully try to resolve this. Ideally amicably. I don't know if that's, some people are saying, nope, that's not possible anymore. We're past that stage. Of course, they were past that stage when they asked for the union support. And it's like, could you not have maybe told us before this?
Yeah,
Like
your
nice.
options are kind of limited by the time you get drawn into it.
So yeah, that's frustrating. And then just, dealing with coordinating everybody's schedules. And then there was a huge car accident that involved some local families, and there were some students who died. So,
oh Jesus, oh,
yeah, I know.
God.
And so now I the person from the state organization who called had no idea about this. I'm like, well, we are now officially lower on the totem, on the list, and that is as it should be. Unfortunately, I wish that was not the case, but there's other stuff going on now. So, but of course the year marches on, and contracts are due and things like that. So we'll see what happens. And in other news, I did not go to the town hall last night because I didn't know where it was until after it happened. Registered and everything.
Well,
didn't
because I think because somebody with MTG's office probably did a background check on you and said, nope, she's not coming.
They said she's too commanding of a presence. People will listen to her instead of you.
Well, and again, not to insult you, but I mean, that's a pretty long list if we're talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's a lot of people that are a far more commanding presence than she is.
She is very loud. She can project quite well.
Yes, loud in the drunken aunt sort of way. The drunken aunt at the barbecue kind of loud.
Get the manager kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, the major get the manager energy. Caitlin, I'm really sorry to hear that about the Supreme Court ruling. I heard on the news this morning that was coming down today, but I hadn't heard what the actual decision was. So I'm really sorry to hear that. That sucks. Seems to be a global setback that we're all in the middle of as far as that goes, but hopefully it turns around soon. And we will do our best to be a fun distraction tonight.
Alice, I'd love to know how people knew where the heck it was. All I knew was it was going to be somewhere in Cobb, and I was like, that's, it narrows it down a lot because there's not a whole lot of Cobb County that's in Georgia 14. But
well, I think they probably contacted the people that they wanted to come, and they gave them the address. That's how people found out. And then some of the protesters, I'm sure, either were successfully able to, infiltrate the proceeding or get the address from someplace, or I'm sure people who lived like right near
in the area were just like, oh, hey,
where it was. Yeah,
she's here. Let's go.
Yeah. But yeah, you missed all the fun stuff. People got tased. People got dragged out by the cops. I mean,
Other than that, though, I mean, there weren't that many. I think there were six people who were asked to leave, and 3 of them just went. So there were 3 people arrested. And it wasn't that big a crowd. I think they deliberately chose a small venue so that it would give them a reason to limit attendees. Anyway, I will say,
and the whole thing has technically I'm holding town halls kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
So
the woman who Dr. I can see her face, can't remember her name. The woman who was, arrested and then charges were dropped and, not actually charged with anything months ago. She, what she was saying, is this a lecture or this a town hall? What exactly do we mean when we say a town hall? Like all of that, like that was just talking points. It was nothing.
Yeah,
there was nothing of substance there.
Don't call it a town hall if you're not going to actually take questions from the people there. Like that's what a town hall is. Yeah.
And if you're not going to open it to your actual, like all of your constituents, like anybody who can get there, here's where we're at, please come.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. We only want, nice people. And then we're going to specifically invite in or allow some dissenters so we can show you what bad people they are.
And also apparently, pre-screened all the questions. Cause didn't you say like she only took questions that had been that were put up on the screen? Like,
literally.
It wasn't like a live Q&A. It wasn't like, let's line up at the microphones and we'll take questions. It was pre-screened questions. Yeah. Hi, Randy. Randy says, hi, y'all, from this parent of a transgender kid living in North Carolina. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have something fun to start with.
Please.
Well, I don't usually do this sort of thing, but I saw this on Facebook earlier and I got a kick out of it. And I don't know if you'll get a kick out of it either, but I'm going to impose on you and our audience for this. So this is from the Johnny Cash Facebook page. I'm assuming not actually run by Johnny Cash since he's been dead for 20 years.
I mean, I would say stranger things have happened, but I can't think of them right now.
Who knows? But so this is from the Johnny Cash Facebook page, and it is a copy of the dressing room rider for the Highwaymen. And for anybody who doesn't know, a rider is like a little note that is attached to a contract that is basically a list of requests.
Requirements that,
from the artist of the venue, like, Mr. Cash would like X, Y, and Z in his dressing room, that kind of thing. And the Highwaymen, again, for anybody who doesn't know, were the greatest country music supergroup of all time, consisting of Johnny Cash. I can tell by your face you have no idea who I'm talking about. You've never heard of the Highwaymen?
I know who Johnny Cash is.
I know you know who Johnny Cash. Okay, well, you've probably heard of the individual members. So the Highwaymen were Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and Chris Christopherson. Are those names familiar to you?
I've heard those names before.
Okay, there we go. So they were a group called the Highwaymen. They put out an album in the mid 80s and then they toured, and they put out, I think they put out another album like in the 90s at some point, but
of course it's a bunch of dudes.
The Highwaymen. And so they called themselves the Highwaymen.
They could have been the Brigands. But
they
had to be.
Well, yeah, you really think that name? You really think that name would get over with a country music audience?
Not in the 90s.
Not now.
Certainly not now. It's even worse. God.
What the hell's that? A brigand? But anyway,
not so much that they're uneducated, but country music has become much more. Country music fans listen to Kid Rock.
Well, yeah. HB Haggis says they should have invited Roy Clark. I think he probably could have outplayed all of them on the guitar. Roy Clark was a hell of a guitar player. But anyway, so they were the Highwaymen, and their hit single was called Highwaymen. So, there you go. Makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Randy Alina says saw them all in 89 at a chili cook-off. Oh, so that sounds cool. So anyway, so here is the dressing room rider itemized by each member for the Highwaymen. All right.
Okay.
So Johnny Cash.
Yes.
6 caffeine-free Diet Coke. 6 nice. Coca-Cola Classic. Spring water. Coffee. Hot tea with honey and lemon. That's probably for the voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fruit and fruit juice.
Okay.
Here's the list of requests for Mr. Whalen. Yes, please.
I would just like to say that I find it interesting that Johnny Cash specified that it's Coca-Cola, not just, 6 soda, but Coca-Cola.
Well, he doesn't want to.
And Coca-Cola Classic specifically, and then also,
and Diet Coke.
Yeah, but no Pepsi. None of that.
That's why you specify Diet Coke, because you don't want to risk being stuck with Pepsi. Then what are you going to do?
And yet,
hang yourself with your guitar strings? I'd do that before I drank a Pepsi.
Just fruit.
Yeah.
Banana, grapes.
There's just some kind of fruit. Improvise. It'll be fine.
Something with, there's, mango, kiwi, orange. No difference.
Fruit. It's a broad category. Fill it as you please.
So is soda.
Maybe but there's, come on. You like.
Continue.
If you're going to drink Pepsi, you might as well drink something out of the fucking oil pan of one of the cars in the parking lot. Anyway.
What about RC?
It's better than Pepsi. I'll take an RC before I'll take a Pepsi. The cheapest way to get a Pepsi is just to get a Coke and then leave it out till it goes flat. Waylon Jennings. Here's his contract rider. 6 caffeine-free Diet Coke. 6 Coca-Cola Classic. Spring water. Coffee. Sounds like he's copying off of Cash's list so far.
But
skim milk, parentheses, for coffee, and fruit. No fruit juice, just fruit. Now, here is the contract rider for Willie Nelson. 6 Coca-Cola on ice. 6 7-Up on ice.
7-Up is Pepsi brand, just saying.
Yeah, but it's not Pepsi. No, it's Pepsi brand, but it's not Pepsi. Spring water, coffee, and fruit. So they're big fruit eaters, the Highwaymen.
Apparently so.
And finally, the rider for Chris Christopherson. 12 Diet Coca-Cola on ice.
Ugh. I hate watery soda. Maybe what they really want is Pepsi.
Maybe. I think they keep the ice separate from the soda before they,
I don't know. It says on ice. It doesn't say with.
Maybe it's implied that it would be like on demand. Like, there would be there would be supplies for 12 Diet Cokes on ice that Christopherson could summon as needed. Anyway, so 12 Diet Cokes on ice, fruit juice, highest placement for fruit juice on any of the lists. Mm-hmm. Fruit juice, spring water. Here's a curveball for you. Iced coffee.
Ooh.
Chris Christopherson or someone in his entourage was a fan of iced coffee. And finally, the only item to appear on every single list of all of the Highwaymen. Your favorite and mine. Fruit. Ta-da! So, Brian Rich says he presumed that on ice meant that the cans would be in an ice chest. Now that could be. That could be. Yeah. I find it interesting that only Willie and Chris specified that their Coke, and in Willie's case, his 7-Up, should be on ice. Cash and Waylon apparently didn't give a shit. They were just like, just have some Cokes in the dressing room.
It's all good. It's all good.
I wonder if there was any tension, because Willie and Chris had their Cokes on ice, and then Cash had his unchilled Coke. But maybe Johnny felt like, you know what I would like? I'd like a nice cold Coca-Cola. And he went to take one of Willie's, and Willie had to no, Cash. You could have asked for Coke on ice, but you didn't.
But you didn't.
I feel like we need to respect the parameters
Fire your
of the
manager.
rider.
Fire your manager. They should have taken care of that. They're supposed to manage these things.
Randy Alina says, sounds like the guys all got sober except Willie. Yeah, he was mixing that 7-Up with something, don't you think? Of course, they could have been mixing the Cokes with something too.
It all mixes well.
Maybe we'll bring our own booze. Just give us some Cokes and 7-Up.
Yeah, it was really thoughtful of them. All they asked for was the mixers. And
by the way, Coke Zero, Manna from heaven. Coke Zero is maybe the greatest invention in the history of humanity. Tastes like a Coke. No calories, no sugar. In fact, look what I'm drinking right now. Coke Zero. I have one with dinner every night.
Every night?
Well, not on, sometimes I'll have one on cheat day.
I don't know. Can you see?
Is that, what is that?
Show up at all?
Oh, it's Coke. It's a Coke, like a restaurant cup. Yeah.
It's a Coca-Cola glass. Yeah.
Yeah. HB Haggis says one of their guitar cases was probably full of those little airline bottles of rum. I think at least Cash was sober at this point. He obviously was very much not earlier in his career, but I think by 85 when the Highwaymen got together, I know he was either off drugs by that point or he was getting to that point where, he was going to have to make a decision.
Yep. Or the decision would be made for him.
Or yeah. So I think at least by the time the Highwaymen were a thing, I think at least Cash was sober. I'm not sure about the others.
New Coke.
I remember New Coke.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I was a traitor because I kind of liked it. I mean, I was glad when they brought the classic formula back too. I'm a shameless, pathetic Coke brand loyalist my entire life. But Randy says he was sober. Well, there you go. I kind of thought so.
I think I might have some brand loyalty somewhere, usually like with clothes. That has more to do with style. I have no brand loyalty when it comes to food.
I have less brand loyalty when it comes, because you're limiting yourself. It's like,
or drink.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm only going to buy donuts from Dunkin' Donuts. I'm not going to buy Krispy Kremes ever. Like, that's silly.
Yeah.
Especially since Krispy Kremes are the bomb.
It's really good. I mean, but let's be fair. Donuts are really good.
The chocolate covered cream filled from Krispy Kreme.
Mm-hmm.
If they ever invent a calorie-free, sugar-free one of those, that's all I'm eating.
You'll just supplement with the multivitamins.
Yeah, I'll take some supplements. I'll drink like a protein shake to get my protein, and I'll just eat nothing but those.
Wash it down with some Coke Zero.
Hey, that's living. That's the healthy lifestyle of the future. That's the least realistic part about Star Trek. Because if there was like actually a replicator, if there was like a magic food hole where you could just say, give me the food and the food
donuts.
A calorie and sugar-free Krispy Kreme donut. If we haven't cracked that, if we've cracked warp speed, but we haven't cracked that by the 23rd and 24th century, our priorities are upside down.
Clearly. I think one of the channels that I like, and I think you don't like reaction videos as much, but the Irish people
I despise them.
Well, I mean, they try like different American brands of food.
Yeah, it's watch people try food. Yeah.
That's a little bit different because they're not just like watching a movie or something. But there was this one, one of the reactors, I guess, was this little redheaded girl, and always makes me think it's Charlie Brown because she's a little redheaded girl. And she said she starts off, she's like, I always hear people going off about Krispy Kreme, but I don't understand. It's just a plain glazed donut. I don't understand what. And then she picks it up, she takes one bite, and she goes, "Oh, okay." It's like, that's what it is. I get it now.
Keep in mind, if you eat like 2 of them in one day, you will die. Like, it will kill you.
That is not true.
It is delicious.
That is not true, Steve. And I suspect that's not true.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure at some point in my life I've had more than one Krispy Kreme donut in a day.
And if you haven't, you're missing out.
And it's funny. Randy says in the chat, hot Krispy Kreme rules. I'm gonna take you the opposite direction, because when I really decide to treat myself and get like maybe 2 or 3 like of those chocolate covered cream filled donuts from Krispy Kreme, I park those fuckers in the fridge, and then not only does the chocolate frosting on top firm up nice, but the cream filling inside firms up.
Really?
So when you take a bite out of it, it's not exactly like an ice cream sandwich. It doesn't get that cold or that hard, but it's firm. You know what I mean? It's almost like,
if you put it in the freezer?
I'm afraid that would get too hard.
Yeah. See, what I like is when the exterior gets firm and the interior is still extra soft. So like put it in the fridge, but not for very long, so that the glaze firms up, but the fluffy filling is just nice and whoosh. Yeah. I mean, that's what I do with my Christmas tree cakes. That ganache just like firms up, and then inside it's just soft.
A seasonal favorite of yours.
Oh yes, I did my wellness coaching call earlier this week. I told the lady on the phone, I said I did my thing on the, and it told me to eat less junk food. I'm like, I don't know if it's been watching me or what, but like my junk food, like I don't know. I mean, I had pretzels, but that's not super, and they're like they're like school snack pretzels, so they're like low fat or something. Maybe baked. I don't know. But my major indulgence is one of those every day from December 1st till Christmas.
To whenever you run out. At HB Haga, yes, if it's just like a plain glazed donut, I agree. A warm one or a hot one is better than a cold one. But I for the filled ones, especially if it's filled with like the the sweet cream. Oh,
HB Haga, see, I'm gonna say that's why you got to have two. You put one in and let the glazing just sort of firm up, so it's like extra crisp, and then you have one that's just warm and the glaze is still a little bit sticky, so you have one of each.
Yeah,
best of both worlds.
Dave G sound good for you. And actually, I mean,
and apparently he would get along really well with the what's their names,
the Highwaymen.
Them, right?
I was a highwayman. Along the coach roads I did ride. That's Willie's verse. That's the first verse. Anyway, Dave G Sound says, I stopped eating all junk food. I snack on apples and oranges, and good for you. I have not completely given up junk food, but like during the week, a sweet snack for me is one piece of bread with some peanut butter and honey on it. Like that's as sweet as I get during the week. And then on the weekends, sometimes I'll get like, like a Blizzard from Dairy Queen, or if I'm ordering like Grubhub from a restaurant and they have like, a piece of pie or a piece of cake on the dessert menu, I'll get something like that.
You know me, I like pie.
You do like your pie, but during the week, I'm pretty much, I'm not, I do not indulge my sweet tooth. So shall we watch some Poirot?
Let's go for it.
Someone who I would probably turn his nose up at a Krispy Kreme, and then I would lose respect for him. Like if you gave Hastings would have it would be all over his face. Like Hastings, the Krispy Kreme will be gone, and Poirot would just be kind of poking at it with his finger. What is Poirot supposed to do is this? Randy, I'm in Maryland.
He would have his little knife and fork, and he'd be, this is very large for a pastry.
Is Poirot supposed to eat all of this?
And with your fingers,
it's as big as a plate.
They have very small plates because they ain't that big.
It's dainty. No, and they keep getting smaller. I notice what you're doing, Krispy Kreme. Shrinking the donuts just a little bit every year. I'll pay more. Keep the donuts the same size. Just charge me more money. I'll pay more for the same size donut. Stop trying to fuck me.
Caitlin watering down sodas. That's I can't stand having ice in my sodas because I don't like it getting watered down. I do, however, drink sweetened with Splendor or whatever calorie-free sodas.
Yeah.
Berries though, good stuff.
Yeah, so, you hate ice in your soda. Every time you go to a fast food joint and order a soda, you order no ice just to make their jobs a little harder.
I don't want to pay for like crunchy water.
I remember we talked about this 25 years ago. I remember.
Yep.
I remember.
It's just a watery soda.
Anyway, yes. So let's talk about
let's watch some Poirot.
Let's watch some Poirot.
If you don't have BritBox or the entire series on DVD or something like that, there's a link down in the description that has it. And hopefully you got it by now because we're about to get started. But if you don't, go ahead and get started. Then you can use this nifty little time code and you can just up to where we are. But if you've already got it, pull it up and make sure that your time is at 0000. And then hover your little cursor over the play button so that when Steve says 3, 2, 1, play, and Steve says play, we all click play and we all watch it together. If you're a little bit off, not a big deal. Promise.
That's it. Well explained.
Liz, yes. French people are weird like that.
I mean, I don't want. I'm not someone who disparages France as a habit. I don't want to be like that kind of American. Like, oh, you'd all be speaking German if it wasn't for us. Like that's uncouth, I find.
However,
but they did really like Jerry Lewis, and I have always looked at them askance for that reason. Like any country that thinks Jerry Lewis is as funny as the French people apparently found Jerry Lewis to be, I cannot fully embrace. I must keep them at a respectable. While acknowledging their many wonderful cultural achievements. I must keep them at bay. All right, you ready?
I am so ready.
Okay, everybody. Like Dana said, I'll count us in. 3, 2, 1, play. Everybody hit play. When I say play, and we'll watch Poirot jewel robbery at the Grand Metropolitan. Guess what the crime is going to be this time?
I hope there's a murder.
I hope there's no jewel robbery at all. But anyway, okay.
Let's go.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play.
Here we go. I'm not French, I'm Belgian. He gets pretty salty about that, as he should.
I mean, I would too, yeah. I get mad enough if people say I'm from West Virginia instead of Maryland. Or really from any place instead of Maryland.
HB Haga. Right, I'm just immediate.
Oh, 3, 2, 1. Oh man, that brings back memories. The worst would be Delaware, though. If somebody thought I was from Delaware, I would.
Yeah. Worse than West Virginia?
Yes. You know why?
No.
Because Delaware should be ours. Delaware rightfully belongs to Maryland. Delaware was taken from us.
Yes, I understand that, but West Virginia says more about the kind of person they think you are.
Yeah, but I don't have.
You
don't
that care what people think of you. So
Dana, you know me. I'm not egotistical.
Okay. Caitlin, I wish. Not the case.
Caitlin, they didn't need dialogue. They had faces. This must be a really shitty play. By the way, Sean, Aaron has an iron urn.
Is it something about that?
It's a pronunciation thing.
Aaron has an iron urn.
Aaron has an iron urn.
Oh.
Aaron has an iron urn.
I have a cheese pizza. It's just Red Baron out of the box. And then out of the oven. Deji sound, I think it is soup time for Poirot.
Yes, a nice thin chicken soup, perhaps.
Served in a nice warm mug, and he can just kind of hold it right here.
Poirot can just sip. You might say Poirot is a resident patient, or even a dying detective.
I hope not. Probably out in the street.
Oh, this is a scene from Roadhouse. I know you.
As is 10 guineas, though not quite as much.
Sean, it's a rich state with a wide variety of accents.
Oh.
Hastings, get this guy out of here. Hey, James.
I'm going to stand around and talk until you hit me.
Oh, how convenient. Right across the hall. This is William Howard Taft.
Nah. Poirot would like Taft.
A fellow gourmand.
A fellow, appreciator of the
mustache.
Mustaches.
Yes, that's very true.
I mean, his isn't bad.
Sean, I actually happen to be wearing a shirt with some interesting facts about Maryland. Maryland home of crabs, Baltimore, and probably a third thing.
A flag, I hear.
The best flag. The best flag.
Yeah. So I've heard.
Yeah.
Many times.
So you've seen with your own eyes. And also portrayed in a video.
I know. I did. That was fun. I did that. It was fun. Quite so. Quite so.
It's our pleasure. Let's make friends. And first things first, we'll take you out shopping to get a suit for a grown-up.
Hercules. Well, Azalea Jane, apparently not that guy at the beginning. Caitlin, that was so great.
I mean, it's a pretty good comic. I don't know if I'd say it's beautifully written. My money. Poirot needs to adopt a disguise or something. This is if this was me, this would get old so fast.
If I ever want to make you hate me, I shall take out an ad in the newspaper offering 10 guineas to anyone who finds you.
See this guy on the street.
I'd have them call you Lucky Larry.
Well, that's rude. Dun, dun. Hastings, go take care of that. Sean, I've never had that chicken Maryland, but it sounds delicious. Fried chicken leg with pineapple. I think that sounds good.
No, I would not call them that.
No, I would not call them that. It sounds like a union issue.
That he's not a member of the Writers Guild.
Well, that was his mistake.
O'Brien might suffer, but at least he's a union man.
Yes, he is.
Brian, isn't she a dancer in the short story?
Mr. Poirot, can I have my 10 guineas?
Chris, apparently that's going to be a running gag, is that there's the newspaper is running sort of a promotion where
like
if anybody finds this person, they have a picture of this person, they get 10 guineas. It's a really interesting necklace. Because it's only 3 strands of pearls, then there's a strand of looks like semi-precious stones in it, and then I don't know if you noticed, but it's got that big drop on the long strand. It's really pretty. I like it. Oh boy.
Poirot's face. I
Wow.
love it.
So apparently there is a murder of the play.
Yeah. Indeed, Caitlin. It would seem to be part of some plot because you're right. There is absolutely no reason. Well, you can steal it right out of that drawer. It didn't have a back to it.
Don't say anything. The thief might overhear you.
If you wanted to bring me some food out, that would be fine. No, that's fine, really.
I'll just watch you eat.
I would hate this. Like, I will give you money to leave.
He should doesn't retire say I figured it out. He said, I stopped thinking about it.
Yeah. He should retire as a detective and just be a theater critic.
But Caitlin, it's a short story, not a novel.
Aha.
I'm a terrible human being.
Aha.
Ah.
Yeah, let's load up some possible motives. Well. Well, now, where'd I put my camera? After midnight, I'm going to let it all hang out.
Ah!
Nobody stole any necklaces, did they?
Maybe.
The blue carbuncle. I mean, the pearl necklace.
The only thing I don't understand is why that dude is not an American, because, like, he's brash, he drinks too much, he brags on himself.
That's an American, baby.
Yeah.
That's an American.
He's an American man.
Well, all right, but
two
only
corpses, everything's fine. Well, we're not there yet, but
maybe you should have produced a better play, dude.
just change the name, call it Swine.
However, if you could get me an autograph by your partner Stan Laurel, perhaps I could. Why is Japp there? He's the only cop in the entire country.
Then isn't that your answer, though? I mean, you just answered your next question.
Oh, a pearl necklace was stolen. Call Inspector Japp for some reason. He'll. Meaningful glance.
No.
It's your money. Do whatever you want. Usually it's a locked room mystery. This is a locked box mystery.
Mm-hmm.
Poirot can have no peace.
Well, I mean, just have a few more tisanes, sir. You'll be able to peace in no time.
Ta-ta.
I do not like this. I do not like it at all.
Shut up, Hastings.
Have you any thoughts for once?
Have you any thoughts? That is the question. A magical trick.
C'est impossible.
Yeah, that's right. Oui, oui.
Oh, here's the American. Can't trust these rioter folks.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Gotcha.
Non.
That's his job, Caitlin. That's Japp has to go for the misdirection so Poirot can get it right.
I don't know if Japp usually goes for the obvious misdirection. Who would you say?
Poirot is such a good detective. He needs two Watsons. He needs two characters to get it wrong, so that he can get it right and look like the smart one.
Uh-oh. Squeaking already.
I remember that cane. Phew. No, they say bookie. We say bookie, Caitlin.
Or I've also heard bookmaker.
Yeah, bookmaker. Yeah, bookmaker. Yeah. We wouldn't say Americans wouldn't say bookkeeper in the gambling context. We would say bookmaker or bookie.
I've never heard BM in that context, though.
Although that would be most appropriate of all, I think.
Exactly what I was thinking.
He's my BM. Yeah.
Ain't he just?
I bet he is.
In the car, you. Dashed if I know.
Happens to the best of us, Caitlin. And also to me, occasionally.
And we're feeling it over at school. I said, and one of the students was just having trouble. I'm like, it's okay. It's the last class of the day. So it's a long day, and it's Friday, and it's been a long week. And she goes, is it? I said, no, honey, it's only Wednesday. She feels like Friday. I'm like, I know.
No. Cruel.
It's felt like Friday all week.
Abject cruelty.
But it was funny. Because you were running at me.
Because you're a cop and you were chasing me down. Liz, yeah, the necklace being inserted into the thing, shot from below, that was a cool shot. Chief Inspector, may I hit him with a rubber hose?
I rather like her, you know.
A psychic told me that I would see her that night. It was a Celestine prophecy. Chris, yeah, that was the pearl bag.
Yep. Just call him Jane. Brian Rich, it makes sense, you know. It matches the other terms. Bookie, jockey, money.
We must go see a good play. Brian, doesn't it bug you when people make that kind of mistake?
See, that was clever. Oh, Japp win the teddy bear.
Oh.
But think.
I love it.
Oh,
sure.
Great.
We'll go with that.
Well, apparently, Caitlin, you were wrong. Like, immediately wrong, too. But maybe he will later. Just as I have taken this one, and I will be just as successful with yours.
You may trust Poirot. When he takes a case, he never drops it.
But now, for now, I am not speaking to you.
Poirot's like, hey, motherfuckers, who works for who here?
It's the wrong one, I can just tell you.
You have screwed it up again.
No? Caitlin, exactly. And that's Poirot's whole point.
Fire code? What fire code?
Boop, 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 boop. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing she left the room twice.
I know, right?
If she'd picked up the scissors and thread at the same time,
the jig's up.
Yep.
Aha.
I was like, now for some fun.
Colonel Saunders? Oh. That's enough of that mild profanity.
No, you don't.
Hastings is always a little slow.
Almost. Well, I suppose it's all right then. Yeah, Kaylin, exactly.
Azalea, exactly. The fake pearls were fake.
Yeah, and you can see him through the opening of the vase.
Yeah.
There we go.
Poirot has met his stunt double.
Well, Poirot's mustache has met its stunt double.
Yes, true. They're not exactly the same body type, are they?
So, not at all. I'm like, his face is indeed very distinct. It doesn't look anything like yours.
It's like, well, there's the mustache, but that's really all we have to go with. Yeah,
that's about it.
That's a fun episode. Are you up for some Wordmaster, or do you want to call it a night?
Yeah, I do have. Caitlin, I don't know that he was selling the papers. Poirot just walked up to him. Yeah, he was just there. So we were talking about Hastings and Japp. Yeah. Who do you think is denser?
Oh God, Hastings. Because I mean,
I love the rapidity of that reply.
Yeah, well, because Japp comes to reasonable conclusions usually.
Yeah,
they're just the wrong ones, and like because they're usually the most obvious conclusion. Like, yeah, if it was real and it wasn't like a cleverly written mystery to entertain us and draw us in, like Japp would be right.
Would probably be right. Yeah,
Japp would be right, because most crimes are not as diabolically contrived as they are in these stories. But yeah, but I mean, God, at the end of this one, Hastings was like, but why did they come back to the theater? Like, after Poirot, he already said earlier in the scene,
all of it.
He said, well, they hid the necklace here with the props so they could smuggle it to America. And after Poirot says that, Hastings is still like, but why did they come back here? Like, Hastings is completely lost most of the time.
In fairness, it's if we didn't know that he didn't have a lick of sense, it would be a valid question, because all the props would be shipped to America. They can go and then get it.
Sure.
There.
Yeah, which is what I thought I thought they were going to do. But then obviously having them come back allows him to wrap it all up, a
little bit more neatly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So also, don't forget, if you are a patron or a member, you can tell Steve what to do.
Not this week.
Next week, though. So you've got some time. Think about it. What you want your ask to be. And then after we come back for Wednesday for Deep Space Nine, next Friday, 6 o'clock, right here, Steve will answer the questions that have been asked him by patrons and members first, and then turn his attention to all of us in the live chat. Indeed. And so if you're not already a channel member, there's a button down there. You can click that sucker, or you can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives and support him through Patreon. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. You get to choose. Also, don't forget, down in the description, there are some links to organizations that we think are worthwhile and could use some support. Additionally, there is charitylinks.page, which has links to GoFundMes and such for friends and associates of ours who also could use some financial assistance if you have the wherewithal to do so.
Indeed.
And if you do, go for it, because helping people is good.
It is. And you know what else I think we should mention, Dana? We don't usually mention this, or we haven't mentioned it for a while, but your patreon.com/Dana Calderas, because
why?
Well, you're switching up the format of your patrons only podcast, starting with the next episode.
Yep.
And I don't know how will there be a video version available?
Why not?
Because,
because your handsome mug's gonna be on there.
But yeah, so that's a little extra incentive for folks who would like to specifically support Dana and her work.
Also, I cuss.
Yes, that's the draw.
That's the draw.
Dana Uncensored.
dun dun dun. No, I mean, I still, it's not completely just random. I do theoretically think about what I say.
No, yeah. Well, it's like it's like Eddie Murphy said. He said, there are some jokes in between the cuss words.
There's some conversation there. Yeah.
They make it sound like I just come out on stage and go, shit, fuck, cocksucker, fuck you, kiss my ass, suck my dick, good night.
Well, I mean, even so, there was still a my in there. And that one is completely appropriate for any situation. And one of these days I will get around. I have several. I have half of a script for my next nouns video. Like, I know what I want to say. It's just when I come home, I'm tired, y'all.
Sure.
And then also, I know I want to do my next adulting video. I want to be about checking your voter registration, which is really, really, really important. Because
very important in these times. Yes.
I have not checked mine. I think I'm going to wait until like summertime. I think maybe when my passport gets here, that'll be my cue, because like we literally voted in there was a referendum that came up and we voted like a couple of weeks ago. So it ought to be good. I don't think they've purged. Yeah. I don't think they've purged the rolls that recently, but no, yeah.
That is something that us folks here in the U.S. have to keep up on. I mean, especially if you live in a Republican controlled state. I mean, everybody should be keeping after it just to be sure, but especially if you live in a state where Republicans control, your governors or your election board or your legislature,
any of that,
Secretary of State, whatever. Yeah. I mean, you have to keep after that.
Very important. And then also, how to register. So I think that is that. I think that will make a good adulting video.
I agree. Very important.
When I get around to it. So one of these days, and I'll let you know when I've got it. In the meantime, we'll see you next week. Deep Space Nine, season 6, episode 3. Okay.
And it's a show called Sons and Daughters. So there you go.
Caitlin, I think that might be coincidental because they have to update the rolls, the voter rolls every so often, because people move and stuff like that, and not everybody remembers to, they get themselves registered, and sometimes the records don't go. So if somebody hasn't voted in a while, they may have moved. So it is important to keep those updated, because that way, that's how you get
in a normal.
If our voting, our voter percentage is down low enough already. And if we have a bunch of people listed who aren't actually living there and aren't eligible to vote, it makes it look even worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in a normal time where things were controlled by good faith actors, the occasional purge of the voter rolls would not be a big deal. It would just be occasional maintenance. But it's because it's been weaponized by one side in particular that it's such a concern. So,
So it's good to be vigilant. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yes, it is.
So thank you all so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Had a good time. I knew I was going to be tired, and I'm like, but I'm like, I knew I would enjoy it. So yay.
Well, I'm glad you did. I hope everybody who watched with us enjoyed it too. So we'll see you next week for Deep Space Nine, Sons and Daughters. Like Caitlin said, happy Easter to those of you who celebrate, and more importantly, happy WrestleMania weekend.
Ooh.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Night, folks.